So welcome everyone to our second webinar in the Conversations in Real Estate series for 2026. So you want to work in real estate, a career changer's guide to the industry. My name is Amy Adams and I'm an instructor here at the CE Shop. And I am also a career changer myself. So today we're going to explore the topic of changing careers into real estate with three panelists, Reed, Sherry, and Marsha. And I'm pretty crazy about all of them, and you'll meet them all in just a minute. And together we're going to talk about a few important questions: what inspired your move into real estate, which skills from your past career have helped you the most, and how long did it take you to get licensed and begin working? I think a lot of the people in school would like to hear the answer to that question. And when did you start feeling confident and earning income? So first, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a career changer myself. I've been in real estate for about 20 years. I guess I started school in 2006 and got my license in 2007. And I practice as an associate broker here in North Georgia. And the quick version is that I started out because I was married to someone who would buy and sell houses, build houses, and he wanted me to get my license to be able to research accurately. So he came home from work one day, I had a 6-week-old baby, and he said, "You're going to real estate school." And I was like, okay. And I went to online school and it worked great for me. I never would have been able to pursue this if I had had to go to in-person school. I lived in the middle of nowhere and had a 6-week-old. So the rest is history, and I got my license. And before that, I was a waitress, a bartender, and a hairdresser. I have been in the service industry for 35 years. And I say that real estate is the service industry with higher stakes, right? Because it is the people business. There's a lot of money changing hands, and that's a big deal, but it's also where people lay their head down at night and where they tuck their kids in. It's a very personal business, and you will be counseling someone through a scary transaction, a scary, expensive transaction, and you'll be having hard conversations with people. And the people skills that I developed in the service industry over the course of all those years really helped me be able to have those hard conversations and also read people. And the other great part about coming from service is I had a gigantic sphere of influence. And that's a word that you'll hear thrown around for new licensees and new agents and experienced agents. You hear the word sphere of influence, but I knew a lot of people is what that means. There was a family. I did the mom's hair, the dad's hair, the kids' hair, the little girl's hair. They grew up. I did their hair for prom. I did their hair for their wedding. And then they bought their first house through me. So you know a lot of people. And that is how that helped me. My people skills and my sphere of influence was large. I knew a lot of people. And it's been a great ride. So I think next we are going to take, I thought we were taking our first audience poll, but right now we're going to meet Reed Schlender. First, so I love Reed's story because it's an interesting way of getting into real estate. He took something he loved doing recreationally and found a way to connect that passion with his real estate career in a really creative but indirect way. And I love stories like this one because it shows that there's not just one path into this career. So let's all say hello to Reed Schlender and tell us your story and what inspired your move into real estate.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Reed. I am located in West Michigan, just off of Lake Michigan. So grew up doing a lot of hunting, fishing, boating. It's still my passion and what I love to do. And as Amy mentioned, I'm a career changer as well. Went to college and ended up doing software sales, so running demos and cold calling. Something that I enjoyed at the time, and luckily I chose a company that really did a good job. Zoom Info, joined when they were kind of a smaller shop, and they ended up going public. Loved it for the time I was there. Taught me a lot of skills and things that I still use today in my real estate career. But eventually just kind of got burned out on the day-to-day cold calling, showing a product, pushing a contract, get people to sign, and you're pushing them to an account manager. Not really, I guess, a relationship building, personal relationship type selling role, which is what I ultimately wanted to do when I graduated college. So once I left there, I bounced around to a couple other places, and I actually came across a video on Facebook from a kid that I grew up playing baseball with and went to high school with. And it was a really cool video of a cabin on a river, and they did some fishing stuff. And so I messaged him and I'm like, hey, I'm getting burnt out in my software sales gig. Is this what you guys get to do all the time, is go walk, hunting properties, go check stuff out on the river, be on the lake, go on the boat, run a drone? And he's like, matter of fact, it is a lot of what we do. So I ended up setting a meeting with the broker, who's my current broker right now, and what I heard. And they pushed me to the CE shop to do the pre-course or pre-exam course. And I actually did that while I still had a software gig. I'd do it on lunch break or in between calls, in my free time. So that was really nice that I could continue doing that while I still had a gig. And then ended up getting my license, passing the exam, which I do recommend the CE shop course, everything that was on the exam. Luckily, I passed it on the first try. But then just kind of jumped in head first. And really kind of, you're never going to see everything. I still see stuff that I've never seen every day, but really applying my passion. I knew I liked hunting, I like fishing, I can speak to people about that, and using kind of my people skills of finding common ground on cold calls. And the first 30 seconds, being able to walk into a listing appointment, find common ground, talk about, their house, what they love about it, the river, the contract stuff. Obviously at first it's you kind of got to be honest. I don't know the answer to that question. I can get it, but talking to people and being passionate about what I'm doing, I've enjoyed every minute of it, and I haven't looked back. So that is kind of my journey and how I ended up into real estate, and wouldn't change it for anything.
You can tell, you can feel it coming out of you how much you really love it. So that's great. Oh, next, we're going to do an audience poll. And what is the biggest reason you're considering a career in real estate? So Reed, while we're doing this audience poll, do you sell a lot of land? Is that kind of what you focus on? Or do you do rentals and licensing? Do you mediate any of that?
When I started, the brokerage that I work for started out as a mom and pop shop. We just recently franchised with C21 to move more towards residential. So when I started, I basically did all small riverfront parcels, off-grid cabins, hunting land. Last year I did more residential than I did land. But I still most definitely, if I could choose, it would be all cabins in the woods and cool riverfront stuff where I get to go fishing and kind of market those properties past just it's a house on a river. It's this is what it has to offer outside of what you have. So a mixture of both. But yeah, kind of more 50-50 now that I've wheel turning.
Well, I love it. I love it. So let's take a meaningful way to connect with others, and been in it for a long time. I love houses. And just like with Reed, he likes looking at the land and getting to show properties and see these amazing properties is a perk of the job. It's very fun. And definitely freedom to make your own schedule, for sure. All right. So Next, I'm excited to introduce Sherry Webb. I actually get to work with Sherry. She's an agent at my office at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services, Georgia Properties. And she's here today because real estate is her second career. And what I really admire about Sherry is that she approaches real estate exactly the way that most of us should if we want to be financially successful, and that is it's a business. And when you get your real estate license, you're not getting a job, you're essentially starting your own business. So everyone, please welcome my friend Sherry Webb. Tell us about your move into real estate.
Hey, hello everybody. Like Amy said here, I'm in North Georgia and I have had my license since 2020. As far as an inspiration, I would say that it's been something I've been curious about all my life. I've moved a lot. So seeing the transactions with buying and selling homes, I will admit it's kind of one of those things as a younger person and even to this stage of my life of seeing someone with a fancy car, you think, ooh, they must be making a lot of money. So that's always been nice as far as that thought. But I came from food service sales for about 18 years. And in that regards, I just really started to get burnt out. And food service sales, I don't know if anybody, sometimes people don't even realize that there's a rep that goes into a restaurant and talks to them from everything from the ceiling to the floor and the food. And it is very fast paced. This is actually a little bit of a slower pace, what I was used to in some regards. So with that said, I understood sales. I understood like you say, the personal skills, but there's also so much more to it as far as being able to listen to people, understand them. It's not about me, it's about them. And that is 100% what I feel real estate is about. Half the time when I go to a closing table, I don't even know what people do for their work. I don't ask them. That's not important as long as they're pre-approved. But as far as being able to understand what is they need and what they're looking for. And then I feel also from my previous experience, I taught a lot of classes with food service. I went to culinary school when I was younger, so I just kind of kept moving into positions of, being a chef, running a retreat center, being a food service director, and then going into the sales position. I had a really solid understanding of what it was that I would even be talking to. I mean, it's pretty hard to, be like, trying to sell a house to somebody that's never lived in a house. So, so as far as that, I could keep going on. I know there's a lot of questions. I could interweave all of these.
So being in business for so long, and Sherry's a top producer at my office, and I'm really proud of her. And did your organization skills as a sales rep and how you nurtured those relationships,
right? Yeah,
and those accounts help you stay on track, because showing the houses is fun, doing all of that stuff is fun, right. But it's also there's doing the work and there's getting the work.
Right. And it's the motivation. I mean, I came from corporate, we always had to have a certain amount of growth every year. I mean, I juggled anywhere from 70 to 150 customers every week. And some of those customers were customers that I was calling on, either calling or going directly to their business and trying to present what it was that I could do for them better than the other company. And of course, in this career as well, we all have a lot of competition within each other. But again, we all find our niche of where we fit in. But yes, as far as like a business structure, I had to be in control of what my time was, the time blocking, what I had going on. And that's exactly with this, what I discovered. Maybe I would have liked it sooner than later, but it's how to set up your business from the LLC, an S Corp, the 1099, if you have someone that you're paying to help you throughout the year. So there's all kinds of different tax write-offs that I would have never understood until I just kind of started to learn it on my own. So, but again, the nice thing with this job is that coming from a sales position, anyone that's been in sales and you have to keep that client, just like you, Amy, with getting, you want to make sure that you got their hair done right, that they will come back. So same thing with me coming in food service sales. I worked so hard to get that customer, but then you had to work hard to keep that customer. With this, it's amazing. You work hard and you find them the home, however it may be. You hug each other at the closing table and you keep in touch. That's the fun part of the people skills is to continue to care. So,
Yeah, and some people struggle with too much freedom, right? And they don't stay on track. And I know early in my career, I struggled with time management. I was in the trenches of motherhood. I had little bitty kids, and I had a conversation with our broker, Kaylin, back in the day, and I had big tears in my eyes, and I was swamped. I was still trying to do hair. I was, had 2 kids in baseball and elementary school, and I was struggling with time management. And Kaylin had a talk with me and said, I've never missed a baseball game. I've never missed a parent teacher conference, but you are in control of your own schedule. But if you're doing more than one thing, you have to be proactive. You have to stay on top of this. And that was when I quit doing hair also. And I really had to be proactive about my own schedule and staying on track with what I needed to get done. And Kaylin probably doesn't think I remember that conversation, but it meant a lot to me. I was really overwhelmed at the time. And she probably thinks I wasn't listening because I am known for being a little bit chatty around the office. So shout out to Kaylin and Ashley for being in charge of the chattiest real estate agent north of Atlanta. But it's hard, and I think people with a business background like you really help you stay on track and keeping it not just fun time, if that makes sense.
Right. So, the biggest thing I'm going to say when it comes down to it, it's your pipeline. And it's like they say, the people that, chill around the holiday season and they go shopping instead of staying proactive and thinking ahead all the time, you have to stay thinking ahead in this career. Absolutely.
So let's look at some of our answers that I'm getting to see now, because this is one of my favorite parts too, getting to talk to you guys. And there's one of our students I know, and he got laid off from his recruiting job and came to real estate school. And I know he's got his first deal going, working on his courses, ready to represent the houses my company and I are building to sell. That's a lot of people do that. That's why I got into it, was to sell my husband's houses. Let's see. Buying and renovating and managing your own properties. And Shannon, she loves the appreciation factor, the math, and the creativity of designs and homes and building, providing someone what they want or need. And that is achieving a common goal. She's going to be the kind of agent who loves to get to the finish line because she's competitive with herself. She wants to see if she can accomplish and get to that closing. Oh, there is Kaylin. Kaylin's in here. Let's see. Charles has sales experience in their past life and looking for a new path to gracefully exit my current profession. And I think a lot of people deal with burnout and want to try something new, with the freedom to create their own schedule and also be in control of their own destiny, because you can go to work in real estate there, I believe, and this is a conversation, that some people have conflicting feelings about, but I believe there's a place for a lot of different types of agents in this business. And there's a niche for everybody, there really is. So there's a lot of room for everybody and what they bring to the party. And when you get burnt out on your past career and you want to try something new, you can do this career and make a living. You can make $1 million. However much effort you're willing to put into it is what you can get out of it. And that's not the same with a regular, 40-hour-a-week job. So a lot of people find that really fulfilling. So what do we have next? Another audience poll. Where are you in your journey towards a real estate career? Are you still thinking about it? Are you enrolled in a course, or are you already licensed? And some people I've seen in here, I know that I see their names, I recognize their names. I know they are still in class because they're a student of mine. Yes, and you guys can pop in the chat also, because this is really the most fun, is seeing where everybody's from all over the country and what you guys are up to. That's with an online school, we don't always get to connect, so I like seeing all the people. %70 complete. I love it. Still thinking about it. Enrolled in a course and already licensed. Perfect.
Perfect.
And I hope some of the people that are already licensed and have gotten some inspiration from Sherry and from Reed about what you can do with your license. You know, most of us do practice residential real estate, but there's so many other things. Some people really don't want to do property management, but some people really thrive in that atmosphere. So wonderful, wonderful. 68% complete. Hoping to be done in the next couple of weeks. I love it. All right. So, and finally, our next guest is someone I'm really excited to introduce also, Marsha DeQuiros. I haven't known Marsha very long, but we met at a NAHREP event, which is the National Association for Hispanic Real Estate Professionals. And that's everything from MLO to appraisers and real estate licensees. I think it probably includes home inspectors too. But that was my first time attending one of their events, and I had the chance to hear Marsha's story there. In real estate, we do talk a lot about our why. Why are we doing this? And Marsha's why is incredibly powerful, and I think it's going to resonate with many of you and remind you that if you're looking for meaning or a new direction in your life and career, the time to start might very well be now. So everyone, please join me in welcoming Marsha DeQuiros.
Hello, everyone. I'm also sitting in North Georgia. I'm in Gwinnett County, Suwannee. My journey it was an interesting one. I looked into real estate in the late 80s and then realized that back then, we didn't have the tools that we have now. Okay, very different approach to trying to get into real estate back then, So I felt that getting into it, I was concerned with how long it would take me to get up to speed. I had gone to school, for finance, banking. I said, okay, I'll get a real job, so that's what I did. So I spent about 15 years in the investment banking industry. And it was, it's a very fun and lucrative industry to be in. You get to travel and take care of clients and things like that. And then I had joined a committee with the organization CARE, and we were building schools in third world countries. So I went to India, spent some time there and just really commenting and reporting on schools that we were helping being built in certain villages in India. And this was the early part of 2001. And I remember when I came back from that trip, my mindset changed a little bit in terms of what was important, in life. When you go to a place like that and you meet people who have a very different walk than you do, it can definitely be very impactful and cause you to just think about things a little differently. Well, we all know what happened in September of 2001. I was working for Morgan Stanley at the time, been there for many, many years. And the second tower, obviously the number of floors that we had there were impacted. It affected me on a personal level too. I did lose a couple of people that I knew personally. It was a very challenging time for anyone living in New York dealing with that. And I remembered a few months after that, I kind of made a decision that I didn't want to do it anymore. It just, you go through something like that and your life really starts to take a different tone. You just start thinking what's important. And I remember just really doing a lot of soul searching and said, you know what, I'm going to make a switch. I love to cook. I want to be a chef. So I went to culinary school, went to the Institute, and then I spent nearly 20 years in the industry. I became an executive chef, opened multiple restaurants. I left New York and moved to Florida because I figured no one wants to blow up Disney World. So I'll move to what I thought was a safer state. I left New York and spent a number of time in the real estate industry, in the culinary industry. During all of that time, I had gotten involved with real estate investing. So, I mean, I started investing even when I was in New York in real estate in New York and in Florida, new construction. So I've always had a little bit just fooled around with the real estate industry since the 80s. And then in 2013, my dad was diagnosed with cancer, and I realized I needed to help take care of him. And Sherry, you know this, the food and beverage industry, you are working 6 days a week, 14, 15 hours a day. Oh my goodness. Yeah, you correct. Especially if you're a chef or a GM, we pretty much live there. But when that happened, I realized that I wanted to prioritize taking care of my dad, and you can't do that when you're running restaurants. So I walked away from that, but I'm not good with just sitting on my hands. So I decided, you know what, this time I'll get my license in Florida. It'll give me time to be able to spend with my dad, help my mom take care of him. But it also resonated with me because a lot of what we do in real estate, the end goal is you're helping someone. So it's, yes, it's a business. I have a financial background. It's definitely a business, but the way we get that business is by helping people. So I think because I was spending this time being a caregiver, it just made me start thinking more about how do I help more people. So I got my license back then, and I was doing it part-time still. I was still, it's hard to walk away from the food and beverage industry if you really love it. So, I mean, I was kind of doing it part-time, selling a few houses here and there every year. And then COVID gave us all a huge wake-up call. And I said, this is a sign. It's time for me to just stop doing this part-time and let me just do this full-time. Because real estate is fun. I mean, I have a lot of fun doing real estate full-time now. The people that I've met, the people that I've helped, the things that I've learned, coming from the service industry, yes, it definitely helps with understanding how to take care of people, listen, guide them, hold their hands. But since I also have a financial background, I find I do a lot of educating with my clients, because when you're dealing with a first-time home buyer, they don't know the first thing about how much things are going to cost. What should they expect? What should they know when they look for a lender? What does the appraisal mean? And I love the fact that I'm able to teach people and educate people on what they're going to expect, because that resonated a lot with me as being a chef, right? I spent a lot of time training new culinary students on how to do something in the industry. So I just feel like as if it's given me much more of a purpose, I feel, because I find myself looking for, opportunities to mentor younger agents and also to educate all of my clients, especially the new ones, because I just feel so rewarded when I've seen a new person that didn't know the first thing about how to buy a house or what they had to do, and then they hit that closing table and you kind of let the duckling go, right? So for me, it's just been very rewarding to have come from two into this one. And I know that this is my doing anything in this industry, at this point in my life. And that's why I ended up getting involved with NAHREP, because again, it's just another means in the industry to keep helping and keep serving people in the real estate community. So I think real estate is a very rewarding and fulfilling career and industry to be a part of.
And I don't know that you can really explain it to anyone how different it feels to, have success in in a career, do something that you're successful at. But the difference between when you help, someone buy their first home and get into that game and start building equity and generational wealth, and it's definitely something that they will have to nurture and take care of their property and protect that asset, but knowing how it's going to impact their whole family, not just this generation, but the next one. It's life-changing. Owning real estate and working in this industry is life-changing. And doing hair was great. I still miss it. My back does not miss it. But I work a lot in entry level homes. So I had the opportunity to sell to a lot of first time home buyers. I was mostly a listing agent at the beginning of my career. So I wasn't shopping with the buyers, but I had the first time home buyers a lot in my listings. And they were always one of those happy closings. Sometimes, I don't want to scare anybody, but sometimes it's not always so fun. By the end, everybody's mad at each other, and you get the deal closed, but nobody's eating chocolate or hugging at the closing table.
Yeah.
So,
but there's still ways to, you can still come out of, a closing that may have been a little challenging and still have a relationship with the person that you took care of. I mean, I've had
absolutely
doozies, but you can still help that person and maintain that relationship, even though it might have gotten, challenging or, but it's still, at the end of the day, I mean, you still help someone, whether it was a smooth ride or whether it was a bumpy one. You still help somebody get there.
Now, do you still hold your Florida license?
Yes. So I do go back and forth. I mean, so Florida license is the one that I started back in 2013. And then my husband's work had offices in Georgia. He used to travel here almost once a month. And when girls graduated from high school and we kicked everybody out to college, we said, okay, let's try Georgia. So I got my license here in 23 when I moved here. So my first year I was licensed here, and I feel like I was driving back to Orlando every other week because I had listings, I had clients, and I was still going back there. But mostly focusing in Georgia now.
Now, Reed, do you think you might branch out to another state like, say, Montana, that has a lot of great hunting and fishing also?
I don't know about that far. My dad lives in Florida, so I've thought about potentially doing that. I usually go down there. I don't know if Sherry or Marsha, you deal with like 2 feet of snow during January and February. So that's usually somewhat slow for me. And I try and use that for, land sales are a little bit better. But I usually go down and visit my dad and kind of map out marketing and what I'm going to do down there. So I've explored that, or potentially like a Wisconsin, Ohio, Indiana, just for the fact of I deal with a lot of outdoorsy people. That are always looking for either riverfront or hunting properties. So that is something that has crossed my mind. I haven't crossed that bridge yet, but it's definitely probably a potential for the future.
So Erica asks, should we still work our other jobs until we make some sales? I don't have the funds. And a lot of people do that. A lot of people do. Or some people who are, say you've been a teacher for 30 years and you get a pension, so you have that little bit of something to fall back on. I did because I loved my hair clients. I didn't want to give that up until I was in my broker's office crying because I was so stressed out, is when I finally released my original job. But a lot of people do, and they phase it in. Even one of my first brokers, who I had, Charlie Lewis, who he talked about at his beginning of his career that he worked, maybe it was insurance, I can't remember, but he worked in an office somewhere, and he kept that job until he got going. And a lot of people, it's just, it is our why, and we love helping people. We love helping people get homes and build equity and generational wealth and all the things. That's a why, but we still have, the lights to keep on. And yeah, a lot of people do that. A lot of people do. And it's a smart move, and you just have to be proactive about your own scheduling and stay on top of things. You might have to manage things a little bit more than an agent who doesn't have a job. But, I work full time here at the CE shop, and I still, foster my real estate career. And I'm sure my broker would love for me to sell a few more, and I'm on it. I really am. So yeah, it's a good idea too. And you will know, and your broker will be able to help mentor you also. Mine did.
Amy, do you mind if I speak up on that part?
That would be great.
Okay, thank you. I just don't know when I can chime in here. If we're taking turns, because I'm very much a rule follower. So I guess I would have to say this as far as myself getting into real estate. Like I said, it's something that I was interested in. You've seen it from the outside. You've seen these real estate agents. I know from my life at that time, as far as being in food service sales, like I said, it was hustle bustle. I mean, it was crazy. But people would say to me, oh, well, you're gonna have to work weekends. And some people would be kind of a little scared of that. Well, then you have people that were maybe working during the week. Maybe they worked a little bit on the weekends as an agent, but I'm kind of an all or nothing type person. So I did end up, I got furloughed as well through the whole everything with COVID. I was furloughed in April of 2020, and I took that month and I just busted through this class. I passed it, and then I ended up getting called back in because of tenure with my company, which I was kind of bummed because everybody else got to stay home and still get paid. But so then I went and took the state exam, got that. However, I kept my job just for a little while, maybe like 5 months, because I was scared. I mean, I had a company car, insurance, all that stuff. That again, like you said, myself running this as a business, there are all these things that get ripped away from you that you don't really realize unless you have a partner or significant other that you can lean on them, which I don't have that glory in my life right now to be able to have somebody else's insurance and all that good stuff. So if you do, that's awesome. But I slowly then just decided to leave completely and start out fresh. And then I went ahead and I joined a team. So when I joined the team, I mean, I was a buyer agent. I actually was excited to be driving other places besides my whole territory that I had within the company I was working for previously. And I've only lived here maybe going on almost 9 years now. So, but when I did first move here, I was an explorer. I was someone that looked at the Google's maps and I just went everywhere. So, and having that background from the sales industry, I had been all over the place. So it was really great when families were moving here from somewhere else, not steering them, but yet I had a very good idea of what this area was like. So, but anyway, so back to that with the getting myself ready. I mean, I had some money in the bank and it went kind of quickly, but part of the reason is the fact that I was on a team. So again, this is something I would say to someone that's just getting into this. Maybe you do want to just keep a job for a little while and kind of dabble into it and get your name out there slow but sure, or start out running from the very beginning. But by having been on a team, I was fed the leads, and that was wonderful because again, not from here. I didn't know anybody that much, I mean, I had my people from food service, but I also didn't want to come across like, hey, I'm going into real estate. Do you want to, support me on this? Which some have. I did sell some homes, et cetera, with some of them, but I didn't want to come across as salesy or needy to anybody because that's not me. It's just not. But yeah. So then after kind of being in that team for a couple of years, I mean, I did really well. I mean, 1 year I sold 28 houses, 26 houses. I was rocking it. It was fun. But they say list to last. And I didn't really get a lot of listings per se on that team. And then again, the cut was, I didn't make as much money on the listings. So I just kind of staying with the buying side. So it was a huge, another leap for me to leave the team and to go out on my own. That was so scary. That was even more scary to.
You think that was more scary than leaving your day job?
Yes, 100% it was. But I did have some sphere of influence at that point, and I was able to just kind of keep moving forward with it. And as you said, last year was a fabulous year for me, which was wonderful, but that's history. Doesn't matter. The game is over. Now it's this year. But yeah, I just really would encourage people to kind of just see where they're at before they completely take that leap. So.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Sherry. I mean, I was a GM of a restaurant in Orlando for nearly 7 years before doing, making that leap to do it full time. You know what I mean? And it's almost like it seems like my leaps have been made because I was forced. I left finance to become a chef after 9/11. And then me keep, just hanging on to licenses, doing it part-time. COVID's really what kicked me out of it, So yeah, I 100% agree with you. I mean, there's nothing wrong with starting part-time until you at least just build up your confidence, learn enough so that you can, talk the talk with clients until you feel comfortable letting go of that career.
Yeah, go ahead.
I believe that, and it is scary, and sometimes you just need somebody to jostle that diving board and push you off, because whether it be COVID or something else, that you can do it. We all can.
It's funny you use those words, Amy, because that's exactly what I was going to say. When I joined the team, it was so busy at that time, they just went, go. I didn't have anyone seriously mentoring me that much. Again, like I said, I'm kind of pretty thorough, rule follower, really read through all these contracts, and I enjoy that part. Yeah, I mean, it just kind of ended up coming into my life, and I went for it. So sometimes that's what you have to do. I mean, you can maybe keep your job, but I would rather work with someone that does this full time, because the ones that we do have that much more knowledge of it, and you get that knowledge that much quicker. So sometimes it's almost like, just go for it. If you want to, just go for it.
And sink or swim, get off the bank. And there's nothing that will teach you faster than being hungry. So our next audience poll is, what would help you feel more confident about making the switch to real estate? And this is a short answer thing. So let's see what we hear, because some people, it might be the security blanket of joining a team and being fed leads. Some people, it might be working long enough to have a nest egg. And in my career, I had a pretty significant nest egg. I usually save half of everything I earn, because real estate is cyclical, right? So, and then because some people who know me know that most of my practice was foreclosures and title work. And during the pandemic, there was an executive order. There were no foreclosures. So, it's that having that nest egg saved me. It really did. The fact that, I did always treat myself and buy myself one little thing. But I also, let's see. What we hear from our next poll. Community, confident, let's see.
Oh, joining a team.
Joining a team, I think. How did I do that? Yeah, salary. And salary, some people, there are salaried positions with a real estate license. Some people, you can even get a job for an apartment community and be a property manager, here in Georgia, we have CAMs, and you can get a full-time job, a salaried position managing properties. It's a different part of the business, but it is, some people really love it. The people who love it, love it. So. So how do I get started in real estate? The first step is, probably before this first step, which is to decide that you're going to do it and go all in. Complete the pre-licensing coursework, pass the real estate licensing exam, apply for your real estate license. And in most states, not all, but probably 49 of the 50, you've got to work underneath a broker or a principal broker, and find one to work with. And I feel pretty lucky and to have the broker that I have. And maybe you guys can give some of the newbies some advice about how to shop for their broker and what to look for and what kind of questions maybe to ask. Anybody
who wants to speak up first? I just got
to Sherry.
Okay, well, originally when we were talking about this, when we kind of did our practice session a couple weeks ago, Amy and I were saying too that this is kind of a big gap between the find the broker and then start selling real estate. Like that's kind of the biggest leap is right in between there. So, I mean, again, most of us might know agents or whatnot, and I would say interview some of your agent friends, go talk to different brokers. Everybody's got different structures. Down to what they provide for you in the different fees and whatnot. I think one of the biggest things, excuse me, that we all need to understand, like I said, the pipeline is the CRM program. And I used to work with that CRM program at my last job a lot. The customer relationship management is what that is. So those are some pieces that people should understand before saying selling.
And not all brokerages offer that.
Right.
Yeah. Some do. It's a computer program that helps you manage your client relationships. And so when you are shopping for a broker, different brokers have different things to offer. My very first broker was a mom and pop shop, and it didn't work for my clients. My clients wanted a big powerhouse behind them, the support of a large firm. And so I switched pretty quickly. But a lot of people are looking for different things. Not everybody's looking for the same thing in their real estate. And, someone earlier was asking how late is too late to switch. I don't believe there's too late because I believe there's a clientele for everyone. I'm a lot. I talk a lot. I move fast. I chit chat. I do all the things. And if you don't click with me, you might click with someone who moves at a slower pace and who you can relate to a little bit better. And so if you're older, you might want someone who is, thinking that they're too old to make the switch. I don't believe there are any boundaries because you can attract a clientele that is like yourself and who appreciates what you have to offer. So what every person is looking for in a broker is different. Reed said you are with the mom and pop shop, and then you were with a more boutique broker, and then you were incorporated into a bigger.
Yeah, after the fact, which that's kind of was my feel. Like you said, everyone kind of has their thing in regards to what you might be looking for in a broker. I guess wanted to be kind of more of a mom and pop shop, someone that focused a little bit more on the recreational stuff, just because out of the gate, that's what I felt I would succeed with, being comfortable and having conversations, not knowing a bunch about contracts. And obviously you learn that from your broker colleagues, but being able to go with someone that's a little bit smaller, felt that I would get the attention or the help that I needed. And kind of they supported what I wanted to go after and valued my background in software sales and some of the different approaches that I learned from there, because that's not something that they currently had experience with. So we could kind of go back and forth with, hey, you help me on this aspect, you help me on that aspect. And that's kind of what I was looking for. I knew My mom's done mortgages for 25 years, so I knew a bunch of realtors ever since I was super small, and where they worked and kind of the vibe there, and had some friends work there. And that's kind of the route that I went, was just other people that enjoyed hunting, fishing, being outdoors. That was kind of what I wanted to surround myself with, because in the software sales industry, everyone always is like, you like to hunt and fish and do outdoor stuff. Like, what the heck are you doing living in a city selling software? So that's kind of the folks that I felt comfortable around. And
Do you
yeah,
think you would
obviously,
ever upgrade your license and broker yourself?
I am right on the cusp of getting to that time frame that I can do that. So it's definitely something that I am thinking about doing now that I have a pretty good grasp of where I'm comfortable, what I like to go after. But then there's always, who's going to run my drone footage? Who am I going to get to come on board? Do I want to pay for, the insurance and start my own gig? That's like a whole nother jump. And I feel like I'm still kind of getting the full
I'm
wheel
not
turning.
pushing. I was just asking.
Yeah.
But I think you have a lot of knowledge.
About.
Land is its own unique thing, and I think you have a lot of knowledge to offer.
I think that a lot of people will say that, though. Well, they'll say, oh, do you want to start your own brokerage? Do you want to have your own company? They're underneath the impression that you're going to make more money as a broker, which sure you will if you get to that spot of having your own company eventually. But that's where I say, starting out, that little gap. What can they do for you? How much does it cost? And
I could never. I don't have the temperament. I am all over the place. But and I look at my broker and Ashley, our new co-broker, who they have it. There's a certain thing that you have to be able to manage and supervise these people. I think Reed could do it, but he also has that specific knowledge about something that's and when you are the only person who knows how to do it, that's a commodity. So
yeah, and kind of biting off like the being responsible for other people's livelihood, make sure they're successful while still trying to grow the business. While I'm still, I think that I have seen everything, and my deal that I had closed yesterday, I ran into something that I've never seen before. So I'm still learning every day. I think I probably always will be. So all things to think about in the future. But yeah, I think it's a potential.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. How long does it take to become a real estate agent? Most people earn their licenses in 3 to 6 months. It depends on the length of your state's required pre-licensing. It's Michigan is 40 hours. Texas is 180 hours. Georgia is 75 hours. Florida is 63 for your initial licensure. It's kind of all over the place. So it depends on that. I bought a 6-month course and I had a little bitty baby, and all that fee simple stuff wasn't as exciting to me as it is now. And I had to get an extension. I think I got 2 extensions. So I think it took me a full year to get through class. And my state allows that. Not all states allow that. And the myth is that you must leave your current career first. And the reality is most of us earn our license while we're still working. And a lot of us keep working our initial job first. That's pretty common. And how much can I make as a real estate agent? The average annual income is over $100,000 per year, according to Indeed.com. And agent income depends on the number of deals that you close, where you represent either the buyer or seller, or whether you work part-time or full-time. And it's different for everybody. And what I love about this, and I've been in the service industry most of my life, where if you don't go to work, you don't get paid, right? As a waitress, there's no PTO. And working at the CE shop is the first time I've ever had like real insurance or a 401k in my life. So I was used to that, and I was hungry about it. But I think what I like about being self-employed is that you can make it whatever you want to be. My mom had a great job with a hospital. She worked there for 30 years. She made the same amount of money every 2 weeks, no matter what. But the sky is the limit. As hard as you want to work, you can. My cousin, she does have a spouse, and she, was raising her kids. She didn't do much with her license while her kids were small. She sells 3, 4, 5 houses a year, and she's very happy, especially in our area where the houses are, pretty significant. You can make some money. So I think it's different for everybody. Sherry, I know, is a top producer at my company, and really proud of it. And I think a lot of the structures that she puts in place help her be the top producer. I think there are top producers who kind of, free willy, but I think a lot of the people who are organized and proactively organized are successful. So,
I'll just
Marsha,
give you a little part. Some of this, don't overthink. Be yourself. One of the things on one of my last teams that I was on here, the only team I was on, there was a gentleman on there. He had really struggled. I mean, he sold maybe 2 houses in 1 year, and he should have been just hitting them off. And he would say to me, "What do you do, Sherry?" I said, "Just stop overthinking. If you're at the store and you think about someone that's a past client and you saw something funny, whatever, send it to them. Everybody's texting, calling, whatever we do these days, but just be yourself. Don't overthink it." And
it's great advice.
Yeah. Yeah. The big thing about this is you can do as much or as little as you want. So you really you really are in control of your income, of your lifestyle, of your quality, time with family. It really is something that, it certainly put me 100% in control. I spent almost 40 years just working all the time. And now I can spend time with, family that is more important. So you really get as much as you put into it. And it's definitely a great way to control your destiny.
And this next slide is, how do agents get paid? Well, as an entry-level agent, you're the salesperson, or some states are all broker states, but you still usually work underneath a broker or principal broker. And listing agents work with sellers to sell their property, and you can either earn a percentage fee of the sales price or a flat fee. It's all of that's negotiable, how much you earn for a seller. And buyer agents work with buyers and search for and buy a new property, and they earn a fee outlined in their buyer rep agreement. And that can be a flat fee or a percentage of the sales price also. But all of that goes through your broker. You won't have the kind of license, once you get licensed, to accept compensation for real estate services. You will have the kind of license to accept compensation from your broker for real estate services. So you can't just go rogue on your own, except for in 1 or 2 states where you can, but the licensing is more significant. So because you'll come out a broker and able to go out on your own right away. And I can only think of 2 states offhand that's allowable. So audience poll, what excites you most about your future in real estate? This is going to be a good one. You can answer in the chat or chat into the poll, whatever you guys are more comfortable with. I'm just glad you're all here. I wonder if we need music for this part. But I think we all know that I'm just going to continue to talk through it. So, it's a medical condition, I always joke. Yeah, Jeopardy music.
Jeopardy music.
Freedom. Absolutely. It's the freedom to create your own destiny and be in charge of your own self and make your own decisions.
I'm telling you, I never had Christmas Day off or Thanksgiving Day off for decades until I became a realtor.
Yeah.
So just if that puts something in perspective, just think about that. I have freedom now to cook Thanksgiving dinner, which I didn't have.
And you can make it what you want it to be. I always told hairdressers who are starting off, if you don't want to work nights and weekends, don't start off working nights and weekends. It's hard to create a clientele that needs somebody to do their hair in the evening after they get off work, and then take back up from that. Start off with your goal in mind, what you want to do, but also be advised that you can change the goal. You're in charge. And that's what, there's so many rewarding things about this job. It changed my life for the better in so many ways. And I get kind of emotional about it because I don't even know what I don't know if I would still be doing hair. I mean, I love it so much. I love everything about it. So, and there are other career paths. Our next slide, are there other career paths in real estate besides being an agent? Yes, you can be an MLO. We also offer MLO classes here at the CE Shop, home inspector, and real estate appraiser. A lot of people who have been in real estate for a while do go into the appraisal game. And that is, if you, who was it? Was it Niche who was talking about the math that she loved? Appraisal might be your game. Because it is, they do have computer programs for all of that, but it's a lot of the numbers and valuation. And that part is pretty fun. So is there any point in... No, you don't need to sweat your resume when applying with brokers. And what I want you all to know, when you are shopping for a broker, you are interviewing them, not the other way around. Yes, that they're not going to want, certain elements, they're definitely going to look at you and how you would represent your firm, but you are looking for what you're looking for. You're looking for, if you are looking for a powerhouse brokerage, if you're looking for mentorship, if you're looking for the CRMs and the technical aspects, you are looking for them. They will look at your background and be interested in it, but it is going to be the quality of your work moving forward, because, and when you switch agencies, that's a different thing. Once you have your license and you're switching broker to broker, they might want to know a little bit more about that, but you're shopping for them, not the other way around. And I had left my firm for a while and I always knew I was coming back. And because of the mentorship, that's what I was looking for. More than the computer programs and the powerhouse name, it was the mentorship. And I knew that I could go to my broker and get a real direct answer about whatever it was that I was asking about. So what about you guys? Marsha, Reed, I know what Reed looks for in a broker.
I don't think resume is important at all. I've never produced my resume when I met with a broker because none of that, I don't think any of that, me working at Morgan Stanley or opening chefs or opening restaurants, I mean, that didn't translate to working with my brokerage now. I think it's more about, if you're brand new, a lot of it's going to be understanding how they train and mentor and coach and get you up to the level where you need to be. But a lot of it is you're interviewing them. I think in my, just me dealing with other brokers, a lot of what they're looking for is who you are. Because, as long as if you're yourself, right? And just the way that you interact with them, I mean, it kind of gives them a sense of how you're going to take care of potential clients. Because like you said, Amy, like the client doesn't pay us, the broker pays us. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, they're kind of looking at how you're going to take care of the person, how you're going to represent them. So I've never I've never handed a resume to a broker and said, this is what I've done. It's always been about what do you offer your agents and how can you help me get to the level I want to be where I can make money. And, based on that interaction, that's what helped me decide which broker to go with. So definitely don't sweat the resume.
Jerry, what about you?
I
You think it's more about your resume or who you are versus who you were?
Well, I agree with everything that she just said there, as far as them just looking at you as a person, being confident and kind and excited and that you want to participate in this. But I'm just going to say this briefly on as far as a brokerage. This is where I think it is important to know kind of who you're starting out with, because you want to be able to support for sure. But then there's the marketing piece. And I did switch and it was a little scary again to switch. But after doing that switch, and thankfully I did, after a while, nobody knows who I worked for. They don't remember what company I was with. They remember me. So I wouldn't be scared of that. So, I mean, do your work, your homework, figure out what you think is going to be the best situation for yourself. But sometimes you don't even know until you know. So then you just make the next decision you're going to make the best one you can.
And I want to thank everybody, our panelists and our guests, for showing up today and hearing this. And I hope all of our new agents and our agents still in school are inspired by this, by real boots on the ground licensees talking about how we got here, where we came from. And I hope that you can look back and draw from where you've been to become what you want to be. And thank you guys all for coming. And next month we have another one coming up, and let's see, the April webinar topic is AI for real estate agents. I'm really excited about this one. I was not excited about it because I've tried and failed to use AI several times in my business. I use it a lot here as an instructor, but I've got couple of really exciting people lined up. So I hope you guys join us next month too. And thank you guys so much. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, Marsha. Thank you, Reed. Thank you so much for being here. I loved getting to talk with you all today and learn more about each of you.